Assalamu alaikum, ahlan wa sahlan, hello and welcome to the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair's virtual sessions, and in particular to this conversation in which we're going to be talking about, amongst other things, this book, Surrounded by Idiots, which has been written by our guest Thomas Erikson, who's joining us from Sweden today. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your expertise and your time. Sweden is one of those countries who's dealt with COVID-19 pandemic in a slightly different way. How are things there?
Things are, well, of course, things are stirred up here as everywhere. Yes, our government has chosen a bit more, let's say, liberal view on things, but we think it's working because well, who knows? I'm really not an expert on epidemiologics, but we have plenty of rooms in the hospitals, and we try to cope. But of course, things are strange for us too, obviously.
And how are you finding it personally in terms of some freedoms? I'm sure have been curtailed, or things are just different when you go out.
Well, as I am more of a lecturer, a public speaker than I am an author. Actually, for me, it has went from 100 to 0 in 2 weeks. So my calendar is sort of empty, doing a lot of these things, of course, but still, it's very weird and strange and a bit peculiar situation. But I'm trying to get along, learning new technologies, and so yeah, it's strange for me too. It is, but plenty of time for writing. So I'm working on 3 different projects as we speak, and that's good, of course.
Great. So let's turn to the whole idea behind Surrounded by Idiots, and also your other book, Surrounded by Psychopaths, Bad Bosses and Setbacks, which kind of all feed in. What a brilliant series of titles they are. Just give us the sort of theory, if you like, behind these 4 behavioural types and the colours that go along with them.
Yes, the book Surrounded by Idiots is based on the DISC profile, which is one methodology that describes human behaviors. And excuse me. And it is not about personalities; it's about behaviors. And the difference is, personalities is how you really are. Behaviors is what you actually can see and what you can perceive from viewing another person. So, but there are 4 types. We have the red behavior, which is dominance. We have the yellow one, who is influential, and then you have the green stable type, and then you have the blue analytical personality. And they deal in different ways with situations. I mean, the blue and the red ones, they are the task-oriented. The blue and the green one, they are introverts. The red and the yellow ones are extroverts, and the yellow and the green ones are more people-oriented. So and then you get sort of a 2-by-2 matrix, which we put them in, and the colors are only there for pedagogical reasons. It's easier to remember a red and yellow behavior before an high D over an I with a low C, for instance. So.
And red says exactly what it is on the tin, really, doesn't it?
Oh yes, red is basically a warning sign towards all of us around them. They sort of, bam, let's do it, sort of people,
And you say in the book that reds are the people who are most surrounded by idiots because of their behavior and their perception.
Yes, that is true. Well, they have a very low tolerance for slow people, and as everybody is slower than the red ones, they sort of, and they don't have much patience for anything, actually. They have their own rather crystal clear agenda, I would say. And as lots of people are slow, asking questions, discussing things, that is not what they do. They would like to, speed things up a little bit instead, pedal to the metal. So yeah, they are surrounded by idiots more than others. The idiot, let's say, the idiot boundaries are tight around the red people.
That is actually less tolerant, really.
Well, they are tolerant towards people that achieve results really quick, but most people don't, actually. The Reds are also in minority. In the world where we have made this analysis, we have statistics from, I would say, 100 countries in close to 50 languages. The Reds are in minority by 9.5%, something like that, was mostly red in the profile. So, yeah.
And we should say that it's not necessarily that individuals are all red or all blue. You do get quite typically you get a mix, don't you?
Yes, the most common situation is that you have a combination of two colors. You are either red and blue or red and yellow or yellow and green, and there's no rules for this. It just is what it is. But usually one factor is a bit stronger than the other factors, and when it is red, well, you kind of get a hang of them really quick because they don't hide anything from you. They speak openly about anything, and they just meet your view like this, and then, are you still here? Get away and go away and do things. The yellow people, if they have a combination of two colors, you can still see the happy face, you can still see the smiles, and positivity, and how are you? Oh, would you like to hear something about me? And if they have, even though they are yellow and green or yellow and red, but if the yellow is the strongest factor, it is there. You can feel it. And the green ones, they will always be more a bit calmer, a bit more a little bit like this, and waiting for you to take command on the situation. But you will feel it if you look for it.
So you mentioned that reds are in the minority. Am I right in thinking that greens are actually the majority of the population?
That is actually correct, yes. Statistically, and it's a strong, these are strong facts, because between somewhere, depending on what region in the world that you are in, the Greens are probably between 45 and 48% of the population. And that is a lot. Still, you hear less from the Greens than you do from the Reds. So, and this is also interesting because, as I mentioned before, the Reds, they take their place, They sort of fill up the room with the big personalities and entering with the boom, bang, and so on. And that is just the way it is. But that is also good in one way, because the Greens don't like to be in the center of things. They rather enjoy it to lean backwards a little bit and see, what are you going to do? They're sort of, waiting a bit, biding their time, and they're okay with this.
So the positive side of the Greens is that they're patient and they're quite keep calm and carry on, and don't take up space, as you say, in the room.
Exactly.
The perhaps more negative behaviour is that they don't put themselves forward for work, and so can be perceived as being a bit lazy, and perhaps also can have a bit of a victim complex.
Yes, that is of course true. The problem when you say this sounds really harsh to a Green person, because I was only polite. I don't want to step on people's toes, So I just, they are very, very loyal. I have to say that they are really loyal and they're working really hard. But still, again, of course, why rush things? How about waiting and, take a cup of coffee and sitting down, because they are not action oriented. They are relationship oriented people. They are the people's people. Is that a word? Now it is. And so you will always perceive them as a bit slower, but that is only compared to the red ones and the yellow ones. So they will judge the green persons really hard if they are too slow for them. But if you go to the blue side, they're even slower. Actually, to be honest, they have the lowest pace when they do things, because they are so detail oriented and always looking for the facts and digging really, really deep down to the groundwater and see, could something be found there that might be interesting for anyone in any way? So they are really slow, to be honest.
So the other side of the green, and I think perhaps the blue as well, is that they don't like confrontation, particularly the Greens, and so there's a tendency.
They are really conflict avert, I would say. They dislike or even hate conflicts, so they would just, this is scary. So they will agree with you and with him and with her. They will say yes to everything, which of course only gives them more conflicts.
Yeah, whereas the reds and the yellows are kind of out there. Let's deal with it here and now.
Yeah, especially the reds. Yeah, they sometimes thrive on conflicts. What about a good argument this morning? Wouldn't that be nice? How about disagreeing on something? That would be really great for me. I need the energy from this, A lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people consider the red behavior as aggressive and antagonistic, which it might be if you're green. The yellow ones, they cope better with the red behavior, actually, because they say, yeah, you do that. And they're such a poor listener, so they don't really hear what the red ones is saying. So,
so in this new normal for the moment that we find ourselves in the lockdown situation, which colour is likely to be coping with this the best, and which one's going to be really struggling?
The blue ones is coping pretty well with this because they have very low need for human interaction. They have probably the family around them. Let's say, just as an example, let's say they work from home. They are pretty okay with this. Nobody's distracting them or disturbing them. No chatting, no socializing around the coffee table, you know. So they can sit from a distance at home and actually work in their own pace. The ones who are suffering the most is the yellow ones. They are really feeling, well, I have met a lot of people, but the last weeks I have talked to several specifically yellow characters, and they are suffering actually, because where are all the people? And they love the interaction and the communication, and they would never have a phone call if they can have a Zoom meeting like this, you know. They need to see people, they need to tell stories, they need to talk about themselves and communicate. They are excellent communicators, and when there's nobody to communicate to, they are really struggling, you know, feeling I don't know the English word, when you feel like you are far away on the countryside and alone in the whole world. Probably there's some saying you could be used there. In Sweden we call it
the wilderness, perhaps.
Well, but yeah, sort of in the wilderness. Even though you are with your family, but hey, I need more people. My sister is really yellow, and she's suffering. She's in the middle of a struggle now. Actually, not good for her.
Tell us, what's the phrase in Swedish that means in the wilderness, or the equivalent?
We call it lappsjuka. It's if you're, you know, up on some Alp somewhere, but it's only you and there's plenty of snow, and you know, and all of a sudden you find yourself living there, and that's a bit scary. So lappsjuka.
Yeah. So that's one thing if you're actually in a house by yourself, but if you've got a bigger group, reds are going to be quite tricky within that bigger group in the house at the moment, aren't they?
Well, it depends on their level of stress, I would say. Reds with a high, let's say, reds that has self-awareness, they usually can deal with people in a pretty, you know, okay manner. But they don't have much tolerance for too much, you know, chatting and nagging about, and if people are complaining, they say shut up and work. It's a technical term, by the way, sorry for that. But they don't feel like there's any need for, they talk when they have something to say. I mean, for instance, my wife is super red. She is so red, so you well, you can kind of get a hang of her really quick, you know. She tells me all the time, so many words. Are you finished now? Are you done? Are we done with this conversation? Let's go on and do some work, shall we? And I know this, so it's perfectly fine. Sometimes she helps me, you know, and say, okay, let's how about speed things up? And I say, okay.
So that's interesting. I mean, in the book, you don't put your hand up and say which color you are. You say that you have splashes of blue, but how do you self-identify in this model?
Well, as I haven't taken the behavioral assessment analysis several times, I know my colors. I have a lot of blue, really blue, high blue bar, but I have equally as much, let's say like this to the camera, equally as much, okay, if this is the blue factor, this is the red factor, they are equally strong. And then I have a lot of yellow and no green at all, actually. So I am a combination of 2.5 color, I would say. And I am also struggling between, you know, pushing the accelerator or the brakes, because that is what you do when you are, when you're red, you are the accelerator. When you are blue, you are the brakes. And I would like to be finished with things really fast, but I have to do them perfect, you know. I'm a perfectionist at the same time as I love results. So it's a bit of a struggle, yes.
And is that, so you obviously have a huge self-awareness about it. Is that how you've come to the model with that colour combination, or have you worked on expanding the yellow and reducing the red, or adding a bit of blue? Is it something that we can change?
Well, to be honest, I don't think you change very much when you reach adulthood, I would say. If you, I mean, I stumbled upon this sort of assessment tool when I was quite young. I took my first managing position at the age of 24. And it was a, well, catastrophe, I would say. I didn't deal with that situation really well at all. I was a disaster, and I disgraced myself, I would say. 30 years later, I did really bad, really bad. And some lady at the HR department said, how about making this analysis on you? Would you like to take this test? Maybe we could give you some, provide you with some additional feedback. And I said, okay. And she then gave me the feedback, and she gave me this report on, I would think it was 20 something pages. And I read them and I said, oh no, this is me. Oh, how uncharming. Oh no, oh, this is so bad. This is a lot of aha moments, a lot of oh no moments too. That's how I stumbled upon this tool. And then I started using it as a management consultant, let's say 22, 23 years ago, something like that. And I think it's useful, but again, it doesn't measure personalities. It measures behaviors, and those are not the same thing. So you have to keep that in mind.
So you've used this extensively for leadership work within companies as a consultant. And although there are some similarities to work as it goes on for people at the moment, there are also lots of different challenges. And I wonder how you see the model working and being useful in terms of dealing with people within this working from home environment, lots of Zoom and other calls, keeping tabs on people's work, making sure that people aren't sloping off, that sort of thing. Just give us some insights into that.
Well, the thing is, the situation, as we mentioned before, it's quite stressful for a lot of people. And usually people under stress, they show more of the true colors than otherwise. I mean, red people, for instance, they get really even quicker frustrated with the people around them. And they get really stressed out when they lose control over the situation. The yellow ones, they are talking even more. They are, pushing themselves into every conversation, trying to, hey, look at me, listen to me, I have a funny story to tell you. And the green ones, they are so much avoid. They really hate conflicts, and so they even more say yes to everything and agrees with everybody and everybody all the time. So and the blue ones, they push the handbrakes and the braking. What's it called? The braking parachute? Is that a word?
It is
What's
now.
the word behind the dragsters? Anyway. Behind really fast cars, they put out the
yes, it is a parachute, I think. Yeah,
whatever it's called, and so they're getting even slower. So if you pay attention, you can see these behaviors even more in this the existing situation, I would say, that we are having. But again, blue people are not very stressed. They are not easily stressed at all, because they are okay with things taking time and following a schedule and so on, and blocking times. They can follow the schedule really easily because they put it in the calendar. And so 2 o'clock, okay, meeting with Julia, no problem. And the yellow ones, oh no, another Zoom meeting. I would like to go downtown and do something else. But you need to pay attention. You can observe things very much, but you need to be there. You have to be in the present in order. It's the same thing when you interact with people live, of course, but it's even more important now. Reading body language, who is really stiff on the screen, who is, doing what I am doing right now, and trying to, be entertaining at the same time as you deliver your message. There are no shortcuts here. You have to actually study people and pay attention to them, and you have to I would say you have to maybe not like people, because everybody don't like people that much, to be honest. But you have to be interested in the communication process, if you know what I mean. You have to be interested in learning more about other people, maybe in order to get along with them and to be more productive and more efficient at work or at home. You have to have some sort of interest. Otherwise, it's going to be a struggle for you too.
I wonder whether it's necessary at the moment also for people to be clearer about boundaries, because everything is all at once so much more fluid, but we're limited.
Could you specify
Well,
boundaries?
I'm thinking that, you know, let me give you a scenario where a red is kind of thinking, well, people have got all the time in the world, they haven't got to commute, they can get more done, but whereas the greens are perhaps thinking, well, that's fine, but actually I don't necessarily want more work on my plate. The blues might also be thinking, this is a great chance for me to put in more detail, so let me share these screens, but actually that's not great for the yellows, who, to be honest, are more interested in what's behind them and have they got a good bookshelf and can everybody see it, perhaps.
Looking at my bookshelf, it's my ego shelf, it's my own books there. No, of course, you're right also. That is, of course, correct. To say something that sounds like a bit like a cliche, but it's still true. You need to, of course, you need to pay attention to other people. You cannot only view yourself, you know, and worry about your own image and so on. But also you have to show some tolerance as well. You have to understand that in the present situation, we are all under some stress. Not everybody's changed their daily work extremely much, but a lot of us has, and a lot of people who's watching this probably have. But we need to, let's say, we need to have patience with people. We need to understand that they are also stressed out. You cannot only, it sounds like so cliche, like I know this, but if you only, let's say, focus on you and your own well-being and so on, you will miss it all. We know this by heart. Everybody knows this. But when you are stressed, you tend to forget about other people. That is just the way it is. Yeah, I need to pay attention to my wife's needs here at home as we are working. She's an author as well. She has her 2 teenage boys at home because the schools are closed. They have homeschooling, and everybody's, you know, sort of a little bit uncomfortable with the situation. And I am used to standing on stage talking to 1,000 people each night. So for me, it's really, really, really strange. And we have to deal with this. But how we solve it is we talk about how we talk. We have an ongoing communication about our communication, which would be my best recommendation actually for everybody who's looking at this. Because if you discuss how you communicate, you can solve the problems quite easily, I would say, instead of just judge people and say that's an idiot and that's an idiot, because usually people are not idiots. They are usually just like you and me, only different.
You have a great chapter in the book, section in the book about feedback actually, and how to share feedback with the different colour types. Tell us about some of the most important things for each colour.
Well, if you're going to feedback on a red person, you have to understand that's going to be a bit of a battle. Because as you might be an idiot to begin with, why should he listen to you or she? This is not connected to the gender issue. If you talk to a yellow person, you have to understand they are such poor listeners. They won't hear you. They won't listen to you. And if you are getting boring, they will interrupt and tell you a funny story, and then you will be in the ditch without even noticing. The green persons, when they get the feedback, let's say it's negative feedback, the green people, they would just, you know, sometimes just fall apart and call themselves idiots. I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I can't cope with this, oh, I knew it, I blew it, throw me out with the dishwater. And the blue ones, they will challenge you and say, okay, I understand, I missed this and I missed that and I made some errors. How do you know? Do you have the details? Which Excel formula are you using? Which version of Zoom are you connected with right now? And is there a book on this topic? Do we really know this? And they will remember each and every syllable that you are using. So you have to be really, really, really well prepared for feedback to a blue one. But if you know these rules, you can get along pretty fine and make them listen.
And one of the things that you say is that it's really important to get, I think, each colour to agree what the feedback has been to ensure that they've heard it and they're actually going to act upon it.
Yes, actually, very true. That goes for everybody who's giving feedback to somebody else. Did you get my message? Could you retell the story? What did I just tell you? What feedback did I give you, and what are your conclusions? How can we, switch behaviors, or what should we try to adapt to the situation in what way, and all these things. Make them retell the feedback so they got it, and you will be shocked because usually people don't get it. The red one would say, yeah, there was something about, missing some important meeting. Yeah, but it wasn't that important. The yellow ones, but are you a calendar fascist, or what are you? The green ones would say, you are just mean and brutal to me. And the blue one would say, I don't think you have read the document properly. As you need to see, did they hear you out, actually? Because usually, maybe not so.
So you've had the advantage of doing the questionnaire, and you know which behaviour type you are, and obviously the people that you're working with have often taken that.
Yes.
For those people who don't have that questionnaire, how quickly to identify the behaviour type should people be, in terms of what are the things to recognise, and how quick to judge should it be? I mean, for example, can you tell from this half an hour conversation what colour I am?
A bit.
Okay.
Okay.
And what would you say?
I would say you have some yellow in you, and I would say that you probably have some red as well. I don't think you're green. I'm not sure you have so much blue in you.
Yeah, and that's the conclusion I came to.
Am I doing?
A little bit of blue.
Little bit. Well, maybe have what we call a little bit of a flick up, which means you like to be in control of things.
Oh yes, that'll be that.
Oh yes. Okay. So that's what I think. But the thing is, it's like speaking another language. If I would take the 2 classes in Arabic, I would probably learn the basics. But if I never speak Arabic, I would never get along with somebody who's fluent. That is just the way it is. Consider it like a new language. Practice, 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 and you will be good at it. There are no shortcuts here, actually.
So your new book, Surrounded by Setbacks, I wonder if you could just give us a little bit of insight into that, given the current situation.
Yes, well, the book was Surrounded by Setbacks with a subtitle called, if I may, When Everything Goes to Hell, actually. I actually got that written on the book. Well, the thing is this, it was released, I would say, a month ago, when the corona crisis actually just had erupted. And I wasn't sure if it's only been published in Swedish, and I think in Norwegian, maybe Finnish yet. It's coming in English, well, I don't have an exact date, but some people keep asking me, was it a perfect timing you actually did here, or was it just a disaster? And I'm not sure. But the thing is, dealing with problems, dealing with setbacks, dealing with, daily conflicts and arguments and so on, we all stumble into setbacks and problems and falling rocks all the time. And we need to have a system to keep them in place, so to speak. Life can be brutal. Life can be hard, and nobody gets away without going through some setbacks. Sometimes I meet really young people that say, I don't like setbacks. I would like to live this beautiful pink color life where everybody is happy and are friends with everybody. And I say, I would love to be there too, but I don't know what planet you're talking about, because life isn't like that. It's a bit of a struggle, and we need to understand how to deal with the problems. And that is what the book is about.
Well, I can say that this book has been just full of so much information, expertise, and I've found it absolutely fascinating, both looking inwardly, which I think we're all doing a lot more of at the moment, but also looking around and thinking, okay, yes, so that's why they do that, and that's That's, you know, they're not idiots after all, who knew? So thank you so much, Thomas, for being here with us and sharing your time and your expertise today. I must just say thank you to everybody for watching, for being part of this conversation and for supporting the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair in this way. Do please subscribe to the YouTube channel that we have and follow us on Instagram, which is Abu Dhabi Book Fair. There's more conversations to be had, so do please keep in touch. But Thomas, again, let me say thank you very much for bringing us a little bit of Sweden and a lot of expertise, and please stay safe and hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you for the invitation. Have a good one.
And you.